In the depths of Africa's untamed wilderness, where shadows move and silence speaks, a moment was unfolding that would test the very limits of courage. The air was thick with humidity, leaves trembling with a strange energy, and something unseen whispered through the jungle. Ranger David, a man who had walked these lands for over a decade, sensed it before he saw it. A quiet stillness had taken hold of the forest. It was not peace, it was warning. A warning wrapped in silence, in absence, in things not being where they should be. He tightened the straps of his backpack and moved forward, instinct driving every step. His years spent in this wild had taught him one truth: when nature grows quiet, danger is near. David's eyes scanned every shadow. He knew this forest like the lines of his own hands. For years, he had followed a particular family of gorillas, learning their habits, memorizing their faces, understanding their world. He had watched Titan, the great silverback, raise his young, lead his family, protect his territory. But this morning, something was wrong. Where playful hoots usually echoed, only silence lingered. Where movement should have stirred the branches, the jungle held its breath. Then, it happened. A sharp, broken cry cut through the silence like a blade. It was not loud, but it was filled with something ancient and raw. David sprinted. Leaves brushed his face, vines pulled at his arms, but he kept running, the sound pulling him like a magnet. He broke through the brush into a small clearing, and stopped. There, in the golden shards of filtered sunlight, lay a scene pulled straight from a nightmare. A young gorilla, barely 4 years old, was locked in the crushing coils of a monstrous African rock python. Its thick body wound around the struggling primate, muscles rippling beneath its glistening scales. The gorilla's eyes were wide with terror, its small hands weakly grasping at the air as the life was slowly drained from its body. David's breath caught in his throat. Every instinct screamed caution. He knew how dangerous these snakes were, silent killers that squeezed until bone cracked and breath ceased. He also knew that rushing in could provoke both the python and the panicked gorilla. One wrong move could mean death. And then, as his eyes adjusted, he saw them. 5 gorillas stood just beyond the underbrush, silent, still, watching. Titan was at the front, his massive chest unmoving, his gaze locked not on the snake but on David. There was no aggression, no warning, just silent intensity. It was as if the silverback understood, as if, in that moment, he saw not a man, but a protector. David's heart pounded, but his hands remained steady. He did not speak loudly. He whispered, not to the snake, not to the gorilla, but to the air, to the moment, hoping his calm voice would steady the storm that surrounded them. He moved slowly, each step deliberate, circling the scene like a predator himself, waiting for the perfect angle. The python shifted slightly, tightening its grip, revealing its head just enough. That was his moment. David lunged, not with violence but with precision. His fingers gripped the thick body just behind the snake's head. The python twisted, its body rippling with rage, but David held on. The gorilla whimpered, and the air grew heavy with tension. The gorillas behind him remained still, not moving, not charging, just watching, trusting. His muscles screamed as he fought to unwind the deadly coils. It was not easy. The python resisted, every inch a battle, but David had not come this far to fail. One loop, then another. Slowly the grip loosened. The young gorilla gasped, a sound of air returning, of life resisting death. Titan's gaze did not falter. With a final pull, the last of the coils fell away. The python, now disoriented and stripped of its control, slithered into the underbrush, disappearing as silently as it had come. The young gorilla collapsed, chest heaving, limbs trembling. For a moment no one moved, even the forest seemed to pause. Then the young one rose. It did not run. It did not scream. It simply looked at David, not with fear, not with confusion, but with something deeper, a silent understanding. The gorilla took one slow step back, then another, and finally turned toward its family. Titan stepped forward, placed a massive hand on the young one's shoulder and made a low, guttural sound. Reassurance. Safety. The others gathered close, forming a wall of warmth and protection. But Titan did not leave. He looked back. For a long, silent moment, the silverback stared at the man who had risked everything. No growl, no threat. Just a slow nod. Then he turned, his massive frame disappearing into the trees with the rest of his family. David stood alone, surrounded by the echoes of a moment that would never be repeated. This was not just a rescue. It was a meeting of worlds, a moment where trust was given, not taken, where power bowed to empathy, where nature did not need to be conquered, only understood. Ranger David did not bring weapons. He brought respect, and in return, the wild gave him something far more powerful than victory: acceptance. So when we ask if humans and animals can truly connect, remember this story. Remember the gorilla who looked back. Remember the 5 who surrounded him, not with anger, but with hope. And remember that in the heart of the wild, even silence can speak.